Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Microsoft Teams Essentials training. We are going to be getting started in just a couple minutes, but just so you know you're in the right place, I just wanted to throw this slide up for you. So just a couple minutes and we'll get started. Okay, good morning, everybody. It is 10 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started on our Microsoft Teams training for the day. My name is Shane, and I work at the Microsoft Store in Pentagon City, but obviously right now I am leading this training from my home, working from home like many of you are, and I am using Microsoft Teams to do that. So today we're going to go over how Microsoft Teams can help you work in any environment, especially your home. We do have a question section. Looks like a few of you have found that already, but feel free to ask any questions you have, and my associates John and Tim will be able to answer those questions for you. And if there's anything pressing that you need me to go over again, let them know, and they will tell me, and I'll be able to repeat. So, Microsoft Teams. What is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is the hub for teamwork in Office 365. It integrates Office 365 productivity tools in one place, and is the next level of communication through chat and calls and collaboration, file sharing, co-authoring, and screen sharing. It allows you to collaborate and communicate seamlessly. It's a single place for your teams to meet around unified objectives with easy access to the applications they use to be productive in their roles. You can even host video and voice meetings to bring the team together in real time. It has the files that matter in one place. It's built on SharePoint, so Teams mitigates common workplace issues like document versioning, confusion, and permissions issues by housing and sharing your files in the cloud. Plus, it has all your tools in one place. It uses both Microsoft-based and third-party solutions alongside each other in a hub that centralizes your workflows and communications. Microsoft Teams can impact your organization by allowing you to communicate through chat, meetings, and calls. It allows you to collaborate together with integrated Office 365 apps. It allows you to customize your workplace and achieve more, and you can make calls in Office 365 and Teams. Teams does have a wonderful cross-platform experience. You can use the desktop application, which is recommended, either with Windows 10 or Mac operating system. You can download the mobile app on both Android and iOS, and you can even launch a web app in your browser, although we do recommend the new Edge built on Chromium as well as Google Chrome itself. All right, give me one moment. I'm going to switch over to a Teams environment, and then we will be able to get started. All right, so as you can see here, this is our demo Teams environment. First, I'm going to go over the general user interface, and then I'm going to go over each section of the application in order of importance and familiarity. So over here on the left, these are all of the different sections of tabs. You can call this the main menu of Teams. At the top, you have activity. This is going to be your notifications feed, so very similar to your phone or apps that you've probably used. It'll show you all the activity that you need to see. Right here is the chat. The chat is very similar to Skype for Business, so if you're used to using Skype for Business, this is going to seem very familiar to you. Under here, we have Teams, which is the most important part of Teams, and that's going to be where all of your work is going to be centralized. Underneath, we have the calendar. Calendar, again, very similar to Outlook, so it's going to be very similar to what you're familiar with using. And then under that, we have calls, which is where you can make calls to and from other employees. And then under that, we have files, which is where all of your files you have access to in Teams are located. Then you have this ellipsis right here, which if you click on that, it allows you to add some other apps. But first, I'm going to get into chat. So again, if you are familiar with using Skype for Business, then you are going to be pretty familiar with the basics of using chat. Over here, we have all of our recent chats, and they will show up with the most recent at the top. And then right here, you have the currently selected chat. This is the chat I have with John. And then over here, you have the calling buttons, and this is who is currently in the chat. The first thing I want to go over is the message bar down here. So the message bar down here has several different options that you can use. The first option is going to be format. If you click on this first button here, it will allow you to format your messages to make them a little bit flashier. You can add bold, italics, underline, strike through, as well as change the colors and do paragraph formatting as well, including adding quotes and inserting links. Next to that, you're going to have the importance button. So when you send a message, by default, it will send a standard message. However, if it is an important message, you may want to click this button right here, which will mark the message as important and let everybody who's involved in the chat know that this is an important message. And then underneath that, we have urgent message. Now, the urgent message option is not to be taken lightly, because if you mark a message as urgent, it will notify everybody involved in the chat every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. And then if they do not look at that message within that 20 minutes, it will also send them an email saying that they missed an urgent message. Next to that, we have the paperclip. The paperclip allows you to upload files, whether that's within Teams or within chats themselves. So if you click on that, it'll give you the option to share a file from OneDrive for Business, or you can upload a file directly from your computer. And we'll go a little bit deeper into files a little bit later. Then you have your fun stuff. The first one is going to be emojis. If you've used smartphones, you're probably pretty familiar with emojis and how they work. Then we have GIFs. GIFs will allow you to add little animated pictures, and then stickers, which allow you to add fun little stickers and memes. Next to that, we do have the schedule a meeting button. This will allow us to schedule a meeting with everybody who is currently involved in a chat. We will go over scheduling a meeting later, but just to let you know that there is a button right within chat that lets you schedule a meeting. Then you have the stream button, which will allow you to add a video that has been hosted on the Microsoft Stream platform. And then finally, right here, we do have the praise button. Let me get rid of this right here. Up here, you'll be able to see what a lot of these look like. So this is what praise looks like. Praise is a way for you to shout out members of your team and coworkers that you think have gone above and beyond. And that way, it really does a lot towards helping somebody know that you have noticed the work that they're doing. Here you can see what it looks like when a GIF has been added. And then right here, you can see this is what it looks like when a file has been added to the chat as well. And then over here, you can see an emoji as well as an important message. Now you can see right here, we have two different symbols on the sides of the messages. The important message will show the exclamation point, and that will let everybody who's scrolling through know that there's an important message right here, and it'll also highlight it in red on the side. Over here, this means that John has actually mentioned me. So this @ symbol right here and the orange highlight of my name, as well as the orange bar right here, means that John has mentioned me. So if we go down, and you can see right here, it does show that John is typing in the chat. But if we go down to the new message and I type the @ symbol, you can now see, because this is a one-on-one chat with John, his name is the only one that shows up. So I can go ahead and click on his name. And if I type that message, notice it's not orange anymore because it's not my name, but it is still a link that I can highlight and then use that to directly interact with John. So I can start a chat with him, although I already have a chat with him. I can send him an email. I can look at his organization, or I can start a video or audio call. And anybody who is in the chat or in the team when you mention somebody will be able to interact with their name like that. Now, John also showed something else that you can do within chats and teams, is he reacted to my message. So now you can see there's a little thumbs up and it says like reaction John Franco. That's a good way if you are in a chat with multiple people or you're in a team with multiple people and maybe a lot of people need to see a message and you don't necessarily need everybody to reply saying that they've seen it. You can say, everybody like this post once you've read it. And that way, everybody who reads the post will know that they're supposed to like it. And then you can see everybody who has liked the post. And reactions are a great way to non-verbally say that you've noticed something. When you hover over, You can see these are the default reactions right here. We have like, heart, laugh, surprised, sad, and angry. In addition to that, you can click on the ellipsis and you'll get a few more options that you can do with that message. First one is save the message. You do have a saved messages menu, which we'll see a little bit later. When you save a message, that's where it'll go. I can go ahead and save this message right now. And then you can also edit a message. So let's say I mentioned something to John and maybe I didn't say everything I wanted to say. I can edit a message and then repost it. It will show edited right here, and that will be visible to everybody who can see the message. If you do send out a message that instead of editing, you just want to get rid of, you can actually click on the delete message right here. And that will actually delete a message. Right here, where it says this message has been deleted, that is only visible to the person who has deleted it, though. But of course, if you did that by accident, you can always click on this undo button right here. You can also mark a message as unread. Say somebody sends you a message and it's not something you can look at right now, but you've already clicked on it and it's already marked it as read. If you click mark as unread, you'll see it'll show up as bold over here. And that way you'll know that the message is unread and you still have to go back and pay attention to it. It'll also show up as a notification bubble on the chat. Lastly, you can also share to Outlook or send it to Immersive Reader, which can read it aloud to you and free of distractions. So here you can see that John has uploaded a file to our chat. This is a Word document, and if I click on this file right here, it'll send me directly to the Teams app Word editor, and will allow me to edit that app. But I want to click on this ellipsis first, because I want to show you some of the other options. So edit in Teams is the default that will happen when you click on it. Another thing you can do is open it in the desktop app. Now what that does is it'll send it to Microsoft Word on your desktop, but it'll be a streamed version of the file that any changes you make will change the source of the file. So when you're opening it in Teams, in your desktop app, or in your browser, which is the next option right here, that'll open the web app for you, any changes you make will affect the original file. Now, anybody with permissions to edit the file can also view version history. That's not available in Teams or the browser. It's only available in the desktop app, but version history will allow you to go back and see what changes have been made to the file and allow you to restore older versions of the file. I'm going to go ahead and just edit it in Teams. You can see right here, it says download. That's not necessarily recommended all the time, because if you download it, that will create a copy of the file, and then you get back into version confusion. Like I'm sure many of you are familiar with sending a file back and forth in Outlook, and then maybe you don't know what work has done, what's been changed, and if multiple people have the same copy of the file, that can cause some issues. So download only if you really, really need to. You can also get a link to the file, which will allow you to share it to other people as well. But I'm going to go ahead and click Edit in Teams so you can see what it looks like. So now Teams is going to open up the Word editor. And this is basically the same as the web app. It is not quite as fully functional as the desktop app. All of the same formatting options are there. However, it does have some limitations when it comes to extra options like Resume Assistant, for example. So this is the Word document that John created. Up here at the top, you can see all the normal Word options are there. There's also a button to open in the desktop app. Say if you opened it in Teams and then you decided that maybe you need an extra feature that's only available in the desktop app, you can always click on that. Here you can see that we're currently editing. If I wanted to, I could change it to reviewing, which would add comments and suggest changes without actually editing the file. And then I can also look at any comments that have already been made. Looks like there are no comments on this file right now. But I can also look at the conversation. So if I click on the conversation tab, it'll actually take me directly to the chat that I had with John, and we can continue chatting right from within the file so that we don't have to keep going back and forth to continue what we're doing. I'll go ahead and close that. Under the ellipsis, you have the options to open in a browser or download it again. So as you can see, John is now editing this file as well. So you can see right here, it shows that he's on page 1, and I can click to go to his location. So this is what it looks like when you are co-authoring in Teams. As you can see, his name is showing up right here. If there were other people, it would show them as well. And up to 10 people can be editing a file at once without seeing a hit in efficiency. More than 10 people could start lagging some of the users, but up to 10 people can be working at the same time smoothly. There are a couple limitations when it comes to co-authoring. Because the changes are happening in real time, we want to reduce confusion. And so in a Word document, everyone must be working on different paragraphs. In a PowerPoint presentation, everyone must be working on different slides. And in an Excel document, everybody must be working in different cells. Other than that, though, you can have everybody working at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, but that is the basics of co-authoring within Teams. So now that I've closed this, I'm looking back at my one-on-one chat with John. But let's say that John and I are working on something, and maybe we want to loop somebody else in. So up here in the upper right is the Add People button. And if I click on that, I can go ahead and start adding somebody else to the chat. So I'm going to hit Add. And now you can see it has actually taken me to a different chat that I already had. Let's go ahead and... So right now, this is a group chat I have with John and Marvin. So adding Marvin to that chat, instead of keeping it in the same window, it created a new window for a group chat. But now, let's say maybe Marvin wasn't the only person I wanted to add. Let me go ahead and click on this. I can see everybody who's currently in the chat. I can also remove them from the chat if I want to, by hitting this little X button next to their names. But I want to go ahead and add someone. So let's go ahead and add, let's see, I think we have Arthur. Yeah, let's add Arthur. So now that I already have a group chat that I'm adding somebody to, you can see I have some extra options now. I can decide not to include chat history. So when Arthur joins this chat, he will just see a blank screen with no chat history. I can include chat history from the past number of days, and I can change that number. Or I can include all chat history. Let's go ahead and include all chat history. So now you can see that I added Arthur to the chat and shared all chat history. That message is going to be available to everybody who is in the chat, and that way everybody will be able to know how much chat history you have shared with the person you've added. So it's one of those things where you definitely want to be careful. If maybe you've talked about something that you don't want that person to know about, maybe something secret or confidential, then maybe you don't want to share all of the chat history with them. So up here at the top, you can see now it shows everybody who is currently in this group chat. But let's say that I don't want that to be what I see over here on the left. I don't want to see Arthur, John, and Marvin. I can click this pencil right here, and it will allow me to type a name for the chat. So right now you can see here, this is a message that was sent to everybody in the chat. Shane has changed the group name to Awesome Chat. And now it'll show over here as Awesome Chat on the side. So really, group chats are not very different from one-on-one chats. And now real quick, I'm just going to show you right here the schedule a meeting button. If I click on that, you will be able to see that all the people in the meeting have now showed up as names in the meeting invite. So just clicking new meeting from within the chat will allow everybody to be invited to that meeting. We'll go over the details of creating a meeting a little bit later, but that's how you do it from within a chat. That is scheduling a meeting. You can also click these buttons, video call and audio call, up here to do an ad hoc meeting with everybody, and that will send a call to everybody currently in the chat. One more thing I want to go over in the actual chat window is because John has shared this file with me, you can go ahead and click on this Files tab up here, and now you can see this file is here in the Files tab. So if somebody has shared a file with you in a chat or a group chat, but it was a long time ago and you don't want to have to scroll all the way back, you can click on Files and that'll show you every file that has been uploaded to that chat. The other tabs we have are Organization and Activity. Those are going to be John's organization and activity. Because the way the tenant, our demo tenant, is set up, he doesn't have an organization. But if I click on Activity, it will show everything that he has done within this demo tenant. So that I have visibility to, so I can see all of John's activity. So now over here on the left, you can see these are all the different chats that I am a part of. So right now it's under recent. The top most recent chat is always going to be at the top. But let's say my chat with John is more important. I can click on this ellipses right here, and I can do a couple things with that. One of the things I can do is I can pin that chat. So now you can see my message with John is all the way at the top, and it's always going to stay at the top until I unpin it, which you can do by clicking on the ellipsis again and clicking unpin. But that way, all of the chats that are the most important to me, I can pin at the top, and then maybe I can click on this recent and collapse that right there. So the only things I'm seeing are the chats that I've pinned to the top. That's a good way to organize your chats, especially because every time somebody messages you, it will show up over here on the left. But let's say somebody messaged you and they just wanted one piece of information, and then the conversation ended and you're not going to be speaking with that person again. So let's say I don't want to talk to John anymore. I can go ahead and hit that ellipsis. I'll have to unpin it first. But if I hit that ellipsis, one of the options is hide. So I can click on hide, and that will actually hide my chat with John. And now you can see it doesn't show up under pinned. It doesn't show up under recent. That chat is just gone. But one thing you do want to know is that chat history is persistent. And if I ever start a chat with John again, all of our chat history will still be there. And I can actually show you by going up here to the top. This is the new chat button. I'll click on that right there, and I'll start typing John's name. And you can now see all of the chat history is still here. So now my chat with John is back. You can see it back there under recent. So hiding a chat does not make it go away forever. The chat history is going to be persistent, and you'll always be able to go back and search it. So let's say you have been added to a group chat, and while it is a group chat that you'd like to see the information of eventually, maybe you don't want to get notifications for that group chat. One of the things you can do is you can mute the group chat, and now you can see the icon has been replaced with this little mute button. That means that you will no longer get notifications for that group chat. However, it will still show up as bold when new messages are sent, and so you'll see when there's something new, and you'll still be able to click on it and view any messages that are in that group chat. I'm going to go ahead and pin this chat so it stays. Oh, I have to say something first. One more thing that you can do from this window is if there's somebody with which you're working closely and you want to make sure that you know when they are available, you can click on this button right here, notify when available, and that will allow you to see when they are in a meeting, not in a meeting, and whatnot. It'll send you a notification. So your availability is tied to your presence and your digital identity. So it is going to be very similar to how it was in Skype. Right now I'm available, but you can see right here, John is away. All of these, except for Be Right Back, will toggle automatically depending on what you're doing. If you are busy, it means that you are in a Teams meeting. If you are presenting, it'll change your availability to Do Not Disturb. When you are on Do Not Disturb, you will not get notifications for anything in Teams except for certain people that you delegate as important. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Be Right Back, you have to set manually, but that tells everybody that you just stepped away for a moment. And the away status will show up automatically if you have not engaged with Teams in 5 minutes. You can also set any of these manually. Do keep in mind, though, if you set any of these manually, it will stay like that until you set yourself back to available. So if you accidentally set yourself to Do Not Disturb, then you have to take yourself off of Do Not Disturb before you'll start getting notifications again. And then underneath availability, you can also see we can set a status message. If you are giving a long presentation or you're going to be out of office, this is the great place to do it. This is the menu where you can see your saved messages right here. So if I click on that, doesn't look like I have any saved messages, but that's where they would be. And then underneath that, you have the settings. These are going to be the Teams settings where you can change how Teams looks, as well as who has priority access. Those are the people that can message you through Do Not Disturb. You can also change all of your notification settings in here as well. I would recommend some of these you might want to take off of email, because then you're going to be getting emails left and right from Teams. And if that's something that you want, then you can leave it. But I personally would rather just use Teams and not have to get an email every time. A banner is what's going to come in from the side down here, and feed right here is going to be your activity feed in the upper left. And then you can change some of your call settings as well. Alrighty, so I believe that's going to be everything when it comes to chat. John or Tim, do we have anything that you need me to go over?
Yeah, we've got a couple people who have asked about if you could perhaps summarize the major differences between a Skype chat and a chat in Teams. Obviously, one of them is that the chat is persistent. The files that I share with people or specific people or specific groups, rather, always will be saved. But if there's anything that you could add, I think this has been a persistent question that we've been seeing in the Q&A here.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. Those are going to be the biggest differences. Anytime anybody shares a file within a chat, it will be a file that you have access to, and it'll show up over here under the Files tab. So everything is going to stay localized within Teams. That's honestly going to be the biggest benefit of using chat within Teams as opposed to Skype for Business, is because everything is within Teams and you are able to link to things from different parts of the application. Another nice thing is that chat is fully searchable. We'll go over this search bar a little bit later, but everything within chat is fully searchable. And because chat history is persistent, as well as the files are going to stay there, you'll be able to search for all that within the search bar up here at the top. And then, like you said, the chat history is persistent. I'm sure we're all familiar with how once you finish a conversation in Skype for Business, it emails you the conversation history. That was nice, but this way it's a lot more localized and a lot easier to find. Alrighty, is there anything else you guys need me to go over before I get on to speaking about Teams itself?
I think we can proceed.
Awesome, thank you. So Teams is going to be the bulk of the software itself. A team is a workspace that you're either an owner or a member of. If when you open the application Teams and you don't see any teams over here on the left, that means that you're not yet a member of a team. If you are an owner of a team, you can go to the settings and control various options. Depending on your tenant, to create a team, you may need to request the ability to do so. Every team is made up of channels. So you can see this is a team right here, Hazmat and Environmental Program. Underneath that, we have several different channels that are a part of it. A channel is dedicated to a specific topic, department, or project. Conversations around that topic, department, and project are held here, and the channel can be customized with its own tabs to bring resources into one place. A channel also creates a folder for the channel's shared files in SharePoint. So every channel under here is going to have a different set of tabs up here at the top. Every team, when it is created by default, will have a general channel, but then you can add new channels after the fact. Now, whenever a new channel is created, the creator of the channel can decide whether or not they want it to be hidden or not. If a channel is hidden, you can see down here at the bottom, 2 hidden channels. I can click on that, and these are the other channels that are available within the team, but are hidden. So if I click on OSHA Safety and Health, you can see that I can still view the channel, but it's italicized over here. And if I click away from it, it's going to disappear again. So let's say a new channel is created and it is important. You can actually click on this show button right here, and the new channel will show under here, and it will be persistent, and it will stay there even if you click away from it. So much like the chat, there are ways over here that you can organize. So if I click on your teams and I minimize that, you'll see now I have 2 different sections. I have your teams and I have hidden teams. So just like a chat, if there's a team that you have been added to that maybe is not necessarily super relevant to you all the time, so you don't want to have to see notifications from it, but you want to be able to go in and look at the information within there whenever you want, you can click on the ellipsis and you can hide that team. Of course, if you have accidentally hidden a team, you can always go down to your hidden teams, click on the ellipsis, and then click show again. And that team will pop right back up. In addition to being able to hide, just like in chat, we can also pin. However, pinning is not done to an entire team. It is done to an individual channel. So let's say this ship recoding channel is something that I use a lot. I can click on the ellipsis here, and I can click on pin. And now that channel is going to show all the way at the top of my teams. You can see it right here. The team name, Ship Recoding, or I'm sorry, the channel name, Ship Recoding, and the team name, Hazmat and Environmental Program. So that way, if I pin multiple channels from multiple teams, it's easy for me to look through and see what the name of the channel is and what team it is from. And that's a great way to organize your most important channels and teams. There are a few other options you'll have access to when you hit that ellipsis. If you're an owner, you can manage a team. If you are a member, sometimes you may be able to add a channel, but that is up to the owners whether members can do that. Anybody can click add a member, but if you do not have member adding privileges, it will send a request to the channel owners to add that member. You can also leave the team, edit the team if you're an owner, or you can get the link to the team or delete the team if you're the owner. And then you can also manage tags as well.
Shane, can I can I jump in here for a second?
Absolutely.
We have got a few people who are asking, when should I create a team versus when should I be in a chat? I've had several questions about this. I'll certainly ask my colleagues to hop in here. My best advice is to use a team when you feel you need more functionality. And a use case that I've been talking about recently concerns a federal client who has a help desk, and they started with a chat, and they put in about 5 people, which soon morphed into 10 people. And they found it more and more challenging to differentiate between certain subject matters, between best practices, between incidents, between just whiteboarding, brainstorming, etc. And they felt that they just needed more functionality. So at that point, they decided to, I would say, graduate from a team, from a chat into a team, because they needed that greater functionality to segment subject matters, with certain people focusing on those respective subject matters. And Shane, John, Abby, please jump in if you would like to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. While the most common answer to that question is number of people, I like to say that organization is a big part of it too, because as you can see in the group chats, as things are posted, it'll just be like a standard direct message thread or text message thread where the newest post is always just going to show at the bottom, and it'll keep scrolling like that. But that's a great segue for me to get into how conversations work in Teams. So as you can see, every conversation in Teams does have a reply button underneath it. And so whenever anybody posts a new conversation by typing down here in the message box, that conversation can then be replied to by anybody. So you can see, for example, right here, John tagged me in a message, and I replied directly to that message. And that way, it's not just a whole bunch of unrelated messages going all the way down the history of the chat. You actually do have self-contained. So I'm going to use Tim's example of a help desk. If somebody has a problem and they post about that problem here, the help desk people can then reply directly to that problem and keep everything self-contained, as opposed to the random mishmash of messages that will spring up from within a group chat. A group chat is going to be more conversational and free-flowing, whereas a Teams channel is going to be more structured and organized. So within every channel, in addition to the formatting options that we saw within a chat, there are also a couple different formatting options that exist only within channels in Teams themselves. So as you can see, I have an additional thing where I can add a subject. Up here at the top, I can click on New Conversation, and I can change it to an announcement. So adding a subject is pretty catchy. And you can see right here, my message has a headline, but up here, this is an announcement, and you can see this is even catchier. So if there's something that is information you want everybody to be able to find quickly, it'll show up in this big colored background, and you can see up here, it's got the tag that says it's an announcement. And I made this message, so I can go in and edit it. And you can also see that you can change the color of the background. So let's go ahead and change it to a darker blue. And you can also add a picture that'll show up in the background as well. And let's say that this is pertinent to multiple different teams or channels that you're a part of. One of the things you can click is up here at the top. You can post in multiple channels. And now you can see it's posting to general and the hazmat and environmental program. But if I click on select channel, it'll allow me to browse all of the teams and channels that I am currently a part of, and I can post that message to multiple different channels. Let's go ahead and hit City Construction and Inspections, Update, and then I'll go ahead and click on that checkbox. So now you can see this little linked icon has appeared. And when you hover over that, you can see that it has been posted in multiple channels. And I can go click on that channel over there, and you can see the same message has been posted in both channels. So that's a really, really great way to be able to get information out to multiple people at once, especially if you're a part of multiple teams and it's something that a lot of different people should know. Keep in mind that everybody who is a part of a team can see everything that's posted within those teams. Private channels are something that will be rolling out in the future, but they are not available in the GCC tenant just yet. So right now, keep in mind that within a team, everybody who is a member of that team will be able to see everything within that team. So if you want to discuss something that not everybody in the team should see, that is something you might want to use a group chat for, because group chats are private. Up at the top here, you will see we have a couple tabs just like we did in chat. But I'm going to go ahead and move to, let's see, I think it was earthquake exercise. Yeah. So you can see up here, we have a lot more tabs in this channel right here. That's because anybody who has the permissions, so owners always have the permissions, but sometimes members might as well, depending on what the owners have said, can add new tabs to the top. So you're always going to have files, which is just like it was in the chat window. It's going to be all the files that have been uploaded to this team. So you can see here are all the files here. But people can also add their own tabs as well. So for example, here we have a PowerPoint tab. What that will do is it will open a specific file that has been added as a tab. And now you can see clicking on that tab opened up this file and will allow anybody who has access to this file to edit it or access it whenever they want to. In addition to that, you can also add a wiki tab. A wiki tab is where you can create articles and put resources or explanations on how to do things that are relevant to that team. And then we have some other tabs created as well. This is a planner tab, for example. You can see here are all of the tasks that have been created in this team, and they have been assigned to specific people. They have been given due dates, and you can also check them off and filter and group which tasks you're looking at as well. If a task has been assigned to you, you can assign somebody else to it as well if you want their help on the task too. Outlined activities is a PDF. So as you can see, somebody uploaded a PDF and made it a tab as well. Again, a tab is a great way to add resources that everybody is going to need access to at any moment. So if I click on the Create a Tab link, it's going to give me a list of apps that I can use to create a tab. You can add a document library in SharePoint, or you can link to a full SharePoint. You can add an Excel file, PowerPoint file, Word file, add a new wiki, link to a stream video, add a OneNote notebook, add a PDF, as well as put in Planner, Power BI for data analytics, or put in a survey through forums. You can even add a website as a tab. Keep in mind, if you do want to add a website as a tab, it does need to be a secured website, which means it starts with HTTPS and not just HTTP. But if you add a website, anybody will be able to use that website, and that way, if you have a website that everybody in a team needs access to, instead of bookmarking it, you can add it as a tab up at the top. And here you can see a message where the system administrator has added PowerPoint as a tab at the top of a channel. So down here, you can see all of our options for creating a new message are going to be very similar, but this button is a little bit different than how it was in a chat. In a chat, this was the schedule meeting button, but in a channel, it is going to be the Meet Now button. The Meet Now button will send out a meeting request to everybody who currently has access to that team, and it will ring all of them on their Teams applications. So if something is very important and you need to get it out to everybody immediately and you can't just make a post about it, clicking the Meet Now button is a great way to get everybody to meet at the same time. Another thing that you can do is you can get an email address from for a channel. If you click on that, it will actually generate an email address specifically for that channel. And if you send an email to that email address, it will show up as a post in that channel. This is a good way if you are working with somebody who is not a part of your team, but they have some information they need to share with your team, and for some reason you cannot invite them. You can give them this email address, and they will be able to email that team. But let's say somebody gets that and you're no longer working with them, or maybe they're using it to spam the channel. You can also remove the email address and it will no longer be a valid email address. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to go over scheduling a meeting in just a moment, but as you can see right here, System Administrator has actually created a meeting and invited everybody within this channel to that meeting. And anybody who is in this team will be able to click on this and see the details of the meeting. So I can click on that right there. It'll show me the details of the meeting, and I'll be able to join the meeting as well. It's a little early to do that because it won't be until 12:30, but I can see the details right here, and these are the required attendees right here. But it was posted to everybody within that channel. Alrighty, so I'm going to go over the calendar and meetings next, but did we have any more questions about Teams themselves before I move on? Actually, let me interject myself because I did not go over this button down here. This is the Join or Create a Team button. If you are not a part of a team when you boot up the application, that means you haven't been added by anybody else. But when a team is created, it can be created one of three ways. It can be a private team, which means the owners will need to manually invite people to the team. It can be a public team, which means that everybody who clicks this Join or Create a Team within your organization will be able to see public teams as they show up here. And so public teams will be listed up here and anybody can join them. But the third way to create a team is an organization-wide team. And if you create that, that will actually automatically add every member of your organization to that team. And then you can also, owners of a team can also generate a code that can be used to join a team as well, as opposed to just sending a link. So underneath Teams over here on the left, we do have Calendar. So the calendar, like I said earlier, is going to be very similar to how it worked in Outlook. Outlook and Teams will mirror each other. However, only when you create a Teams meeting will you be able to join that meeting as an audio or video call through Teams. I will show you how to do that from within Outlook momentarily, but right now you can see this is the calendar view. You can go straight to today. You can pick what month or date you want to look at, and you can toggle through the weeks here. Meet Now is going to be very similar to how it was on the in the chats or in the Teams. If you click on that button, it'll create a meeting. But because we're not looking at anything with any other members, clicking Meet Now right here will create a meeting with just myself, and it will allow me to then invite people from there. I can also click on New Meeting right here to schedule a meeting. I can click on that drop down And if instead of scheduling a meeting, I could also schedule a live event, which a live event is what we're currently doing right here. A live event has a few producers or presenters, and then everybody else is just an attendee. But I want to schedule a meeting, and scheduling a meeting is going to be everybody will be able to speak up. So I can add a title to my meeting, and right here I can add required attendees. So I'm going to add John, I'm going to add system administrator, and I'm going to add Marvin. Now, as you can see, John, as you can see right now, says he's available. His name is not highlighted, but system administrator and Marvin are both highlighted in red. That's because scheduling assistant will automatically tell you when people are unavailable for the time that you have suggested. Right now it says 11 o'clock, but if I go ahead and I click on scheduling assistant, you'll be able to see that both Marvin and system administrator are unavailable during that time period. So here you can see these different meetings that have been created within Teams will show up under the scheduling assistant calendar. And you'll be able to see who is available when. Up here at the top, it'll give you a general block. So right now, I know that system administrator is not available from 11:30 to 12, or to, I'm sorry, 11:15 to 11:45. And Marvin is unavailable from 11 to 11:30. So the first suggested time is going to be 12 o'clock, because 12 o'clock is the first time that everybody who is on this list is going to be available at the same time. So scheduling assistant is very useful for being able to see when you should create a meeting. But just like in Outlook, you can also choose whether you want the meeting to repeat. And here you can add an entire channel. So earlier when system administrator created that meeting for the whole channel, this is how you do it. You can go and you can click and you can post it within a channel and it will show up. It will show up just like this, where everybody who has access to this team is able to see this meeting, click on it, and join the meeting directly from there. So that's a great way to get everybody to know about a meeting right away. And if you create a meeting like that, people can choose to add the meeting to their calendar as well. The last thing you can do is you can add a location. Say you want to meet in a specific room or a specific building on a campus, or you want to meet at the Starbucks down the street. You can add a location by typing that in here. And then here you can add a brief meeting description. When you get the meeting invite, it will have a Join Teams meeting link. So you can click on that link from that invite anywhere, and you can join from a Teams application, or you can join directly from the web. It will also generate a phone number and a conference ID for that meeting. So if you can only join by phone, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and click Meet Now and show you what it's like within a meeting. So this is what I have heard referred to as the meeting powder room. It will show you a preview of your camera, and it will show you whether or not your camera and microphone are on. And normally when you join a meeting, if there are multiple people already in the meeting, your microphone will default to off. You can also adjust your audio devices right here, and you can even change the name of the meeting up here. I'm going to go ahead and keep both of these off for now, but you can also choose to have your audio off. Say if somebody next to you is already in the meeting and they have their speakers on, you can turn this audio off so that you don't hear an echo. Or you can use your phone for mic and speaker while you watch the meeting on your computer. I'm going to go ahead and click Join Now. And so this is what it's like inside of a Teams meeting. Over here on the right, you can see the people who are currently in the meeting. I'm in the meeting right now, and nobody else has been invited. But let's say I wanted to invite somebody. I could go ahead and type their name in here. And you can see right now their names are popping up, and I could click on their name to immediately invite them to the meeting. This is going to be your meeting menu bar. You can turn on your camera. You can mute and unmute your microphone. You can also share your screen. I believe, oh, yep, it is popping up. Wonderful. You can do your desktop itself, so your full desktop, or you can choose specific files that you have open that you want to share as well. So that is a great way to, because that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm sharing a specific program that I have open. And so you'll be able to only see that program, even if I switch to another program.
Shane, a quick question from somebody.
Yep.
As we test the echo feature there. In terms of the powder room, is your camera turned to default? Is it off or on?
In the powder room, it depends on what kind of meeting you're joining. If multiple people are already there, it will default to off, but you can turn it on and check out how it looks. If you're just joining a meeting by yourself, it will default to on, but again, you can also always disable it before you actually enter the meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep. So next to screen share, you also have more actions. More actions are where you'll be able to see some of the other options. Show device settings will allow you to adjust your audio devices. Show meeting notes will show any meeting notes that have been prepared before the meeting or that are being prepared during the meeting. Show meeting details will show all of the meeting details on the side. If somebody is asking for the phone number, for example, and the conference ID, you can use this to show this. You can also enter a phone number right here and have the Teams meeting call you if you're unable to dial in. And then you can also enter full screen for the meeting. You can bring up a keypad in case you are calling somebody into the meeting who has an extension. You can record a meeting. Obviously, you always want to let everybody else in the meeting know that you are recording. And you can also turn off incoming video, which will turn off the video feeds of everyone else in the meeting. And it might be best to do that before you start recording and allow people to turn on their video as they see fit, or you can end the meeting from here as well. And then we already saw the participants window over on the side, but if we click right here, it will show any conversation. Now, this will actually create a group chat with everybody who has been invited to the meeting, and it will show up over in their chat over here as a new group chat. So it should show up over here. So yeah, you can see right now I have a new chat called Important Meeting, and this is everybody who is currently in the meeting that maybe they don't have their microphone enabled. They can participate within the chat right here, and it will show up as a group chat for anybody who has been invited to the meeting as well. If you are the creator of a meeting, you can also mute other people. I believe anybody, depending on the meeting, anybody can have the ability to mute other people as well. But as you can see, as I'm talking, occasionally it'll come up with a little icon that says my microphone is muted right here. That's a nice feature in that when your microphone is muted and Teams hears you speaking, it will tell you that your microphone is muted in case maybe you're actually trying to present and you don't know that you've muted yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and end this call.
And Shane, let me know when you're ready for another question.
Absolutely.
Do participants on the meeting have the capability to record that meeting, or is it restricted to the meeting owner?
I believe that is, I think, a setting that you have to set up ahead of time, whether people are able to do that. By default, I think everybody has the ability to record a meeting. but I'm actually not entirely sure. John, do you have any insight into that?
We could try it right now if you'd like. You can be the...
I'm pretty sure it's everyone.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
I
it's
thought it was
everyone,
everyone
as
too.
long as the admin of the tenant allows it
Right.
in the environment.
Right. As long as you're allowed to record in the first place. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Abby. And if you do record a meeting, it will automatically upload to Stream, which is Microsoft's video hosting service, and it will show up in the chat after recording has ended, and you also will be able to download that recording if you want to as well. Do we have any other questions regarding meetings and calendar?
Yeah, here's one. When in an active meeting, if someone within that meeting shares a document, where can that file be found?
That file will be shared to the meeting group chat, and it will be located within, so just like if you shared it within a normal group chat, it'll show up over here within the chat itself. See how that meeting chat has its own files tab? That's where you'll be able to find it.
Excellent, thank you.
And give me one moment. The screen is going to go blank for a second. I'm going to switch over to Outlook real quick and show you how to create a Teams meeting from within Outlook. All right, so this is my Outlook right here. As you can see, it's pretty busy because any events that have been created in Outlook will show up here, as well as events that were created in Teams. But if you have Outlook and Teams on your Office 365 tenant, you will see a button up here at the top which says New Teams Meeting. So if you click on that, it'll take you to a window just like you were creating a new meeting within Outlook, but this will allow you to create a meeting that will be shared to Teams, and everybody will be able to join within Teams. You can set your attendees right here, you can set the title of your meeting right here, and you can add a description in this field right here. I will say the nice thing about creating a Teams meeting is in Outlook is there is one exclusive feature to Outlook, which is Room Finder. If you've used Room Finder before within your office, you know that it's pretty handy. And so being able to use Room Finder and Scheduling Assistant at the same time is pretty convenient. So you may want to create your Teams meetings within Outlook if you find yourself using Room Finder a lot. Otherwise, you may just want to be able to create them within Teams. But as you can see right here, I can preview the information, I can preview the phone number, I can preview the conference ID, as well as click any of these other links as well. Do we have any questions about creating a Teams meeting in Outlook? If not, I'll jump back to the Teams tenant. All righty. Okay, so I'm going to go through these next two menu options pretty quickly because they are very simple. Calls is just going to be your call history and your speed dial. Speed dial is going to be your favorite contacts right here. Anywhere you see anybody's name, you can click on the ellipsis, and he's already one of my favorites, so I can remove him, or I would be able to add him to my favorites. Contacts is anybody that you've had contact with before, so either chats or favorite contacts. History is going to be a history of your calls. I haven't made any calls yet, but this is where they would show up. And voicemail is if somebody tries to call you and you do not pick up, then they can leave you a voicemail and it will show up right here. And down here at the bottom, you can make a call just like that. It depends upon your tenant whether or not you'll be able to use Teams to call outside phone numbers, but you can use it to call between your employees. And then this Files tab right here, this is going to be every file that I have access to within Teams. So right here you can see this was part of the earthquake exercise team, and so I can access that right here. This is the file that John uploaded to our team. As you can see, its location is in his OneDrive. So anytime anybody uploads a file to a group chat, it will remain in their OneDrive, and everybody else will just have shared access to it. However, if you upload a file to a team itself, it will go into that team's SharePoint. And so you can see that's how these things are arranged. This is the SharePoint folder, which is the name of the team, and this is the SharePoint folder, which is the name of the channel. Now, these are just my recent documents. So these are documents that I have recently opened. But if I want to look through everything, I can just click on Microsoft Teams right here, and it's going to give me a list of all of the files that I have access to through Microsoft Teams. And I can then sort them by name, what file type they are, when they were last modified, who modified them, or where they're located. Now, this can be kind of overwhelming. You can see that there's a lot of files here and they're not super organized. So a great way to be able to look through these files is by using this search bar at the top. So this search bar is very extensive. And let's say I'm looking for, I can see it right here, this cache counting tool. But let's say I'm looking for it and I don't remember exactly what it's called. I just remember it had cache in the name. So I can type cache in the search bar and I can click enter. And now this is the search results screen, and I can see a couple different things here. This is the message. As you can see, it says messages right here. This is the message where Megan uploaded the cache counting tool in the first place. But let's say I just want to get the file itself. If I click on files, here you can see the cache counting tool right here. And if I click on that, of course, it'll open directly within Teams and I'll be able to edit it how I want to. Now, I don't think there's anybody named cache within our organization, but let's say I want to go ahead and find John. If I type John, under messages, this will be every message that John has posted that I have access to, as well as every message that mentions John. So you can see here's John in a conversation with John Franco. When do you think we can work on this? But here is the same conversation where I tagged John. So you can see this is going to be search for every instance of John within Teams and the chats I have access to. But if I click right here, it'll actually give me the list of people it thinks I'm looking for. John's right at the top, but then we have Joni under that, and then Jonathan Storm in case it thinks that I didn't spell it correctly. And then if I click on files, you can see this one shows up right here because this file was uploaded by John. So as you can see, the search feature is very extensive and you can use it to look for pretty much everything that you need to find within Teams. In addition to be able to search though, if I hit /, it will also give me a list of commands. You can change your you can change your availability with your commands. You can see somebody's activity. You can also look at your files, join a team, and do all sorts of other things. Like for example, /mentions will allow me to see all the times that I have been mentioned within Teams and in chats. But when I searched for mentions, as you can see, now it has brought me over to activity. So activity is the next thing I want to go over. And activity is going to be your notifications feed for everything that is going on within Teams. So as you can see over here, these are all my notifications. And if I click on that, let's click on this one. It will show me over here, this is the message that John reacted to. Or right here, I can see that John mentioned me and it highlights it here. This is the mention where John mentioned me. So all sorts of things will show up here, reactions, mentions, as well as somebody can mention an entire team or an entire channel, and that will tag everybody within that team or that channel and send them a notification. In addition to looking at your feed, you can also look at your own activity. So this is everything that I have done in Teams, and say you uploaded something or you posted a message and you don't remember where you put it, you can look at your activity to be able to see where that was. And you can also filter your feed by certain things. So I can filter by only unread messages, only mentions, replies, reactions, missed calls, voicemails, apps, or trending. So the notification, the activity feed is a great place to go maybe after you've been away from Teams and you want to see what the most important things you missed are. Again, we'll go right back up to settings real quick, just so I can show you this one more time now that you have some more context. This notifications menu will show you which notifications you will get in your feed. So right here, everything, unless you have only banner, it will show up in your feed as well. So banner and email will actually show up in your feed. But if I click just banner, it'll just come in from the right. If I click off, then I won't get any notifications at all. And one last thing I want to go over in this menu right here is a great way to succeed in using Teams is by using these keyboard shortcuts. I would have to say that my favorite keyboard shortcut is, I think it's down here. Yes, right here, Control-Shift-M. That will allow you to mute yourself without having to find the mute button on the meeting itself. And that way you can mute and unmute yourself by just using your keyboard. But as you can see, there are a lot of different keyboard shortcuts, and I recommend trying to use some of them to get yourself a little bit more acquainted. There's even a keyboard shortcut to open up the keyboard shortcuts, Control period. There's one more thing that I want to go over, and that's going to be the help menu. But do we have any other pressing questions you need me to address?
Not at the time.
Awesome, thank you. So down here in the lower left-hand corner, you will see help. The help menu is, in my opinion, the most important menu in Teams because it has a whole bunch of options that you can use to help yourself and to help the application. So if you click on the first one, Topics, Topics is going to be a list of articles that you can use to learn how to do certain things in Teams. You can search help. So if I want to search for meeting, it'll show me how to create a meeting. It'll show me an article about meetings in general. It'll also show me about roles in Teams meetings, as well as a whole lot of other articles about meetings themselves. These articles are very helpful and will give you step-by-step, but let's say you don't want to read an article. Let's say you want to watch a video. Under Topics, you have Training, and Training will give you videos about how to use Teams. So all of these videos they range between 1 to 3 minutes, but they will show you many different tips and tricks on how to use Teams. So if you have any questions after this training, I definitely recommend going in and looking through these topics and training menus to learn a little bit more. Underneath the help, you also have what's new. Every time Teams is updated, it does get a list of patch notes, which will show you what has changed since the last time you used it. So the last time Teams was updated was on March 20th, and you can see these are all the things that they changed. But even more important than that are going to be these two options right here. let's say Teams doesn't do something that you're used to doing in another program you've used in the past. This suggest a feature button right here will take you to the Teams public feedback website. This will allow you to add feedback or suggest features to Teams. You can look at the top ideas that people have, and engineers will be able to respond that they are working on it. And so you can see that right now they're working on this. This one is in testing, and this will show you what features other people have suggested. You can vote on features that you think are important, and the engineers will respond on whether or not they're working on it or not. A lot of features that Teams currently has were submitted as suggested features, and so we highly recommend you use that if you have a suggestion. And then underneath that, you have the give feedback link. If there's something about Teams that you wish worked a little bit better or worked a little bit differently, you can click on the give feedback button and you'll be able to submit that feedback. Alrighty, so I think that about wraps it up for the training itself, but we've got another 12 minutes or so of this session. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to any other questions that you think I need to go over.
And just because we've had some questions about this recently, just to let everyone know, all of the recordings are available in the Point Drive, like the LinkedIn link that John posted as an announcement earlier. So if you weren't able to catch all of today's session, all of the recordings are going to be available from the past couple weeks.
Thank you, Abby. We do also have a survey that is a forms link that John also posted. If you could, I would ask you to please click on that link and fill out that survey. That is a survey about this training right now, and we'd love to hear your feedback so that we can improve our trainings in the future. Again, Microsoft takes feedback very seriously, so feedback within Teams and feedback on this training are highly recommended and requested.
Shane, I do not have any other questions at this time, but if anybody would like to ask a question, we do have a few more minutes.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and stay here until 11:30. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But other than that, everybody please have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And again, if you could go ahead and check out that survey.
Hey, Shane.
Yes, sir.
somebody asked if you could run how to schedule a meeting again, where they
Sure,
would do that.
absolutely. So there are actually multiple ways to schedule a meeting. The main one is in your calendar, you will have a new meeting button right up here. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to the new meeting window where you'll be able to add a title to the meeting. You'll be able to add attendees. So if I start typing right here, it'll show me those people that I can add. But now, as you can see, System Administrator is highlighted in red. That is because they are currently unavailable to meet at this time. If I click on this tab up here, Scheduling Assistant, it will actually show me everybody's schedules as they show in Teams and when they are going to be available. So as we can see right now, System Administrator has a meeting from 11:15 to 11:45. So that's going to show him as unavailable until that meeting is over. So the first suggested meeting is going to be 12 o'clock because that's the first time that everybody is available to meet. Underneath scheduling, we also have whether you can set a meeting to recur. You can have it repeat every day, every weekday, weekly, monthly, yearly, or do a custom repetition as well. And a custom repetition is where you'll put in an end date for that repeating meeting. You can also tag a channel. So if you're a part of a team, you can tag an entire channel in a meeting as well. You can add a location. So if you're meeting in a specific room in your building, a specific building on your campus, or maybe just at the Starbucks down the street, you can put that location here. And then down here, you can type some details for that meeting as well. Now, that's one way to create a meeting from within the calendar. I'll discard that. Another way to do it is if you are in a group chat or a one-on-one chat with somebody, you can actually click on this button right here down below the message block to schedule a meeting. So let me go to this group chat over here, and I'll click on schedule a meeting. And as you can see, it has now added both the people from the group chat in addition to myself to that meeting as well. So you can schedule a meeting from within the calendar, or you can schedule a meeting directly from a group chat. Anything else involving meetings that you think I need to go over, John?
I believe that covers it.
Shane, I've got what I think is a good question here. If you had a channel to a meeting, would you actually also have to invite individuals?
So if you add a channel to a meeting, it means that everybody who is a part of that team that the channel is inside of will be able to join that meeting when it occurs. However, it will not add it to their calendar automatically unless you individually invite them. So if you want to make sure that somebody attends a meeting, you should add them as a required attendee to that meeting. But if you schedule a meeting within a channel, then that means everybody within that channel will be able to join that meeting.
Shane, we do have a question on live event setup. I don't know, do we have time to go through that? It's the 4 types of assignments that this individual was asking about.
Sure.
And I'm assuming that's presenter, producer, etc.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start a live event. So yes, there are a couple different roles that you can have for a live event. I'm not. Let me see. I'm not sure about 4. I know that there's producer, presenter, and attendee. Am I missing one?
I thought there was just 3.
Yeah, I think it's producer, presenter, and attendee. So producers are able to basically, they're the ones who manage the live event. They are able to manage the Q&A, make announcements, share their screen, share their video. Presenters are able to speak in the live event, but presenters are not able to share their own screen or but they are able to manage the chat as well. The reason why there's a difference there is you never want to do a live event alone. It's usually best to, depending on what you're presenting, have one person show like a presentation, for example, and have another person be the presenter and have them be able to speak about the presentation as it's happening. Once you create a live event, it will then generate an attendee link. And once it's created, you can copy that attendee link and send it to people who you want to attend the live event. Everybody currently viewing this right now is an attendee, except for myself, Abby, John, and Tim. And so if you're an attendee, you can see it's just a presentation, and you have few options other than asking a question and adjusting your audio devices. All right, and with that, we are about out of time. Again, thank you everybody for coming. Please enjoy the rest of your day. You can see the recorded videos link is going to be in there, and if you could, please fill out that form and give us some feedback. But other than that, I just want to thank my presenters, Tim and John, for helping me out with the question and answers today. And everybody, please have a wonderful day.